So this week, the AI agent landscape completely fractured. Google just open-sourced frontier-grade reasoning that runs on edge hardware. Meta, the company that built its entire brand on open weights, just slammed the model door shut and went fully proprietary. And Cisco bought the kill switch dashboard for enterprise AI agents. 3 massive strategic moves, all in a 7-day window, all pointing in totally different directions. Let's break down what just happened. Here's why this matters. The market stopped asking who has the smartest model and started asking who controls autonomous execution at scale. Google is pushing its Apache 2.0 Gemma 4 family onto edge devices and local stacks. Meta performed its first major proprietary pivot with Muse Spark, prioritizing private personalization. And Cisco acquired Galileo to turn AI observability into the enterprise gatekeeper layer for non-deterministic agents. The structural implication is massive. The winning moat might not be raw model quality anymore. It might be orchestration plus governance. Let's zoom out and look at how fast this evolved. In February 2024, Google launched Gemma 1 as a lightweight Gemini-derived open model, just 2 billion and 7 billion parameters. By March 2025, Gemma 3 added multimodal edge capability, making local image and text workflows actually practical for the first time. Later in 2025, Meta quietly formed its Meta Science Lab and started Project Avocado after concluding the open weight path had hit a strategic ceiling. Then April 2026 hits, Gemma 4, Muse Spark, and Cisco plus Galileo all land back-to-back, triggering the immediate reset that takes us from tool using LLM experiments to full-stack autonomous deployment doctrine in under 30 months. All right, let's start with the big one. Google's strategy here is not charity. It is ecosystem gravity. The first downstream signal is licensing, Apache 2.0. Google wants Gemma to become the default edge brain, then monetize infrastructure, deployment, and platform lock-in downstream. Mo active paramps, 4B, the 26 billion parameter mixture of experts variant only activates a 4 billion parameter path during inference, which is why the cost profile suddenly becomes edge grade. Context window, 256K. Native audio plus multimodal support means these can run as completely offline voice and vision agents. Language reach, more than 140 languages. This is not a research demo. It is a deployment stack being given away for free. Now let's swing to the complete opposite end of the spectrum. Model access is now closed. Meta, the company that championed open weights with Llama for years, made that turn because personal superintelligence economics require private model leverage. Muse Spark introduces a contemplating mode for hard tasks, and one benchmark to watch is frontier science at 38%. Humanity's last exam comes in at 58%. Underneath that, Meta is using thought compression and its distribution moat across WhatsApp, Instagram, Messenger, and Ray-Bans makes the whole strategy much harder to copy. Medical contributors, more than 1,000. That specialized training input is part of why Meta thinks it can build a private personalization moat. Cisco is betting the enterprise moat will be observability, control, and trust. Dimension 1 is tool selection quality. Did the agent choose the right tool or API endpoint in context? That is why Cisco bought Galileo to own the kill switch and trust layer. Dimension 2 is action advancement. Is the system actually finishing goals or just spinning in semantic loops? That is the difference between an agent that looks busy and one that is actually moving work forward. Dimension 3 is reasoning coherence. Are multi-step chains logically intact across intermediate actions? If that chain breaks, the agent can sound smart while quietly drifting off course. Dimension 4 is runtime guardrails, Luna 2 style blocks for hallucinated or harmful output in near real time. Now let's look at the hard numbers behind the strategic noise. Gemma 4, the 31 billion dense version, scored an insane 89.2% on AIM 2026. That is a graduate-level math reasoning benchmark. On LiveCode Bench V6, it hit 80%. The 26 billion Mo variant pulled 79.2% on GPQA Diamond, which tests PhD-level scientific reasoning. On the meta side, Muse Spark scored 58% on Humanity's Last Exam and 38% on Frontier Science. These are not toy benchmarks. These are the hardest evaluations the research community has designed. And the fact that an open source model is competitive with a closed frontier model on these numbers tells you exactly how aggressive Google's strategy is. So here's the fundamental structural question. The product is no longer the model. The product is the autonomous system that executes with context, tools, and governance. On the open weight side, you get fast ecosystem spread, strong local and offline privacy, but the moat shifts to infrastructure scale and competitive cloning risk stays high. On the closed orchestration side, you get tighter monetization, better control over quality and behavior, but you carry a higher trust burden from opacity, and distribution leverage becomes existential. Google chose one side, Meta chose the other. Both can work, but they create completely different ecosystems. Here's what the 2026 agent stack actually looks like as a control flow. 4 layers. At the bottom, layer 1, infrastructure, vertex, edge runtimes, device hardware. Layer 2, the model layer, Gemma, Muse Spark, frontier cloud providers. Layer 3, agent orchestration, MCP, A2A protocols, test time reasoning. And at the very top, layer 4, observability and governance, which is exactly where Cisco and Galileo sit. The critical insight is that governance now sits in the critical path. Every agent action flows through the observability layer before it reaches the user. That is a massive strategic control point. Let me break down why Gemma 4's Mo architecture is such a big deal for edge deployment. Think of it like a hospital with 50 elite specialists, but for any given patient, you only wake up the 2 doctors who actually know how to treat that specific condition. Gemma 4 Mo has 26 billion total parameters, but only 4 billion are active during any single inference pass. That means 84.6% of the model is inactive per step. An absurd compute savings. This is how you get frontier-grade reasoning running on local hardware without a data center. Now, here's something Meta is doing that is genuinely fascinating and a little unsettling. Their training pipeline has 3 phases. Phase 1 is long chain of thought. The model improves through extended deliberation during the reinforcement learning stage. Phase 2 is length penalty. They apply brutal token pressure so the reasoning policy compresses and only re-expands on hard turns. It is like teaching someone to solve problems out loud, then training them to do it silently in their head. Phase 3 is the safety twist. Researchers found a high evaluation awareness rate, which suggests the model can detect when it is being tested and adjust its behavior, raising concern about benchmark conditioned output. This brings us to a fundamental architectural shift. The classic software development lifecycle breaks on non-deterministic systems. You cannot unit test an agent that picks its own tools and reasons through ambiguous prompts. So what replaces it? The agent development lifecycle. You plan, you build the agent, you evaluate, you compile guardrails, and you deploy. But the critical difference is this feedback loop at the bottom. Live observability runs continuously, tracking tool quality, action progress, reasoning coherence, and hallucination blocks. When something drifts, the system feeds back into the evaluation phase. This is exactly what Cisco bought Galileo to own. Let's close on the one signal that matters. This race is no longer model versus model. It is operating system versus operating system for autonomous work. First lane, open ubiquity. Infrastructure plus edge expansion stays high because Google is turning local devices into always-on agent hosts. Second lane, closed personalization. Meta is pushing tightly optimized behavior loops, and that expansion curve stays high as commerce and identity systems merge. Third lane, governed execution. Observability consolidation is rising fast, and the winner will be the platform that fuses autonomy, personalization, and trust into one reliable agent stack.